tabula rasa. Some call it a clean slate, some call it the beginning of conference play. And with that, we welcome the Falcons back to Odessa. And it was week 3, and Taylor Null would get the start at quarterback. That's 3 different starting QBs in 3 weeks. And the true freshman did not have an easy first collegiate game, taking on Midwestern State, the number 7 team in the country, for their home and conference opener. But they started off strong, letting up no points in the first quarter and scoring the first touchdown of the game on a Marquise Simmons run. But Midwestern State would come back and connect on a huge 41-yard touchdown before the half. The Mustangs would continue to pile it on in the second, but the Falcons fought tough, chipping away as much as they could. Taylor Null put up 300 yards and a couple scores, but it was not enough. Mustangs defeat the Falcons 43-21. I'm Marshall Kramsky, and you are watching Falcon Focus.
From the home of Falcon football, CBS 7 presents Falcon Focus with Jake Dayton and Marshall Kramsky.
Welcome to Falcon Focus. I'm Jake Gayton.
And I'm Tatum Gwynn along with Coach Carrigan. We are taking a look back at the Falcons' first home opener this season. Coach, a lot of really good takeaways from this game. First being, y'all started strong. That was something that y'all really wanted to work on going into this week. Was there anything different going into this week's game plan?
There was a little bit defensively and trying to stop their run-pass option football. There's a little bit different game plan, and one thing that Jake brought up was John O'Kelly, and he wasn't lying down as a defensive end rushing the passer a bunch, but we had him more as an outside linebacker, and then obviously having Taylor Null as our starting quarterback changed a little bit of things for us offensively as well. Thought we went into it with a good game plan. Showed in the first half, again, consistency is what got us.
The biggest thing I saw, and the biggest surprise for everybody, I think, when you showed up to Rattler Stadium was seeing Taylor Null come out for the first series on offense. What made that decision happen this week?
Well, and I've been saying I was sincere throughout camp whenever I said Taylor Null was competing for the spot, as was Mike Myers, Sam Allen, and Cameron Mathis. We'd gone through the first 2 games. I thought they were winnable games for us, and I thought we were there. Needed to look for some kind of change, and wanted to give him a shot. I thought he did a fantastic job and earned that opportunity that he got last night.
Right, and just to go off of that, what's impressive about Taylor is he's a true freshman. This was his first taste of college football. Man, he did so good.
Yeah, he's been in college for 1 month now, and he has just tremendous amount of poise. Great vision of the field. Was unfazed by going up against the number 7 ranked team in the country. I think our first scoring drive was a 98-yard drive. Started on the minus 2-yard line. The first pass that he completed on that drive was a play that we'd only repped 1 time this past week.
That's awesome.
Just unfazed, great quarterback.
Very good. Well, another thing that was a big improvement this week was the running. How much did Marquise step up?
He was the same. I just rode that horse a little bit more. I said last week, looking at the stats afterwards and how well he did, I should have played him more in the second half. And so this week I did, and he over 100 yards, had a great game, and he's just a steady Eddie back.
Defensively, you guys looked really unstoppable in that first quarter. What was the game plan going into that? Was the defense harped on, hey, let's set the tone early and go from there?
Well, again, it's a run-pass option, so we're going to play the triple option here in a few weeks of Eastern New Mexico. The difference is instead of handing the ball off or keeping it and pitching it, which Permian runs, it's all just pass stuff. So I'm either going to hand it off or I'm going to throw the ball down the field, and Midwestern does a great job with that offense. It's tough to contain. I thought we went into it with a great game plan, which is, again, have your set number of guys up front in the box. That's their job, is to stop the run. And then you got to be able to man up on the perimeter and play great pass coverage, and I thought we did a good job of that as well. It just comes down to consistency. They got their big plays. We didn't get enough. I thought our defense did a phenomenal job throughout the entire game. An explosive offense. I knew we were going to be up against a great challenge. Offensively, we needed to do more to stay in that game.
Right, and I think one thing that people need to keep in mind is y'all played a number 7 ranked team, and y'all really hung in there. That's what I love so much about talking about this game. So Midwestern, they did end the half on a 41-yard amazing touchdown pass. What was the morale going into the locker room during halftime?
I think it was good. That's a tough play to end the half on. But our guys were up. I think they recognized the fact that they could play with them. You kind of hate saying the same thing every game, every year, is that we're close. The difference right now is that we're close against the nationally ranked opponents.
Right.
And, Division I opponent the first week, top 10 team now. Whereas we were saying that we can play with anybody, and we were close in games in the past. We're close against great competition. Again, I think if we just stay focused, getting better each week, the season's going to come out okay.
All right, thanks, Coach, for that. Let's go over to Marshall, who has our Offensive Player of the Week. Marshall?
Keep talking about the Falcons offense has been the quarterback situation, but this week our Falcon Offensive Player of the Week comes from the backfield and it's running back Marquis Simmons. Simmons was all over the field, over 100 rushing yards, and put the first points of the game on the scoreboard for the Falcons with a rushing touchdown in the second quarter. Simmons' biggest rush of the game was for 33 yards. The junior was the main offensive weapon for the Falcons in their home opener, and deservedly so. Congrats to Marquis, but make sure you stay with us. When we come back, Jake, Tatum, and Coach will break down this Falcons second half, and I will tell you who our Falcons Defensive Player of the Week is. So don't touch that remote. Stop and focus. We'll be right back.
We're back with more Falcon Focus with Jake Dayton and Marshall Kramsky.
Welcome back to Falcon Focus.
We are talking all things second half.
All right, let's start off in the locker room. Coming out of the locker room, Coach, game plan. I know you have a big second half speech type of guy, but what were you saying in that locker room?
The same thing. It's consistency. It's just being able to sustain drives, continue drives. I think our guys recognize that they can play with them. And it's just trying to reiterate that to them at halftime. Continue with the confidence, go out there and attack the second half. And again, unfortunately, the Mustangs came out with a strong second half. It was very similar to what happened to them last week against West Florida. They went at halftime that game. I think it was 17-14, and then 3 touchdowns. They won 38-14. It was a similar deal for us. We just had a hard time containing them for 4 quarters, their offense, and then we weren't consistent enough offensively.
So week 1, you brought Sam Allen to provide a spark. You made that choice to stick with him. Why was that?
We stuck with Sam from week 1 to week 2 because he did provide that spark in Texas Southern. And then going up to Northern Michigan, it's not that he didn't do anything great. I thought he provided great energy to the game. Had a good game. We just didn't come out victorious. And I thought that was a very winnable game. The Midwestern State game is a winnable game, but we got to be more consistent offensively, and that didn't really have to do with the quarterback. The quarterback was extremely consistent. Mm-hmm. And that kind of factored into why Taylor went in, was the fact that the first 2 games were, I thought, more winnable, just as far as our opportunity and who we were playing and what the matchup was like. And we didn't come away victorious in those first 2. And it's my job to figure out what we need to do to get on the right track.
You keep on saying consistency, and I agree with you. There are certain parts where you guys are looking like a team that could beat anybody, and there's certain times you don't look like that. So do you still do something in practice, or how do you rep that in terms of saying, hey, we need to do this and look good all 4 quarters?
A lot of consistency just comes from mental focus. And a lot of times as we go back and we watch the film, you can see where there's a mental lapse of an offensive lineman going the wrong way, or a busted route, quarterback not reading correctly, running back not hitting the hole where it's supposed to. And that's just the mental part of the game. And a lot of times, especially with the younger guys or new guys in the program, the little nuances just aren't happening fast enough. And so sometimes we'll say paralysis by analysis. And once you get the reps going through that, and it's just a repetition deal, that you just got to continue to practice it. We run a very basic offense, and we try to have as many moving parts behind the offensive line, keep it simple up front. But as you get a different look defensively, it changes your assignment on every snap. And those are the things that we got to become more consistent in knowing what our job is on every single play.
So what are some good takeaways coming out of the second half?
Well, just again, the ability to put points on the board offensively, to continue some drives. One thing we talked about last week was our 3rd down conversions. Last week weren't good. I think we were 7-15.
You flipped the switch, actually. All right, Coach.
It was good, and the ability to hit the plays down the field. We were able to run the ball somewhat consistently. The biggest thing that we got to clean up right now is the negative plays. As you look at the stat sheet, we had minus 56 yards rushing. Well, that's tackles for loss on the running backs and sacks by the quarterback. And I don't think any of the sacks were on Taylor. We didn't pick up a blitz, or we didn't protect long enough. That's 56 yards, and if you take that out, you clean it up, and we match Midwestern, top 10 team, they had 1 yard loss, if any rushing at all. So really they only had one bad play in there that they weren't productive offensively. And that's the difference from a top 10 team to where we're at right now that we got to clean up. We got to get rid of that minus 56 yards where things just aren't clicking for us.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Coach. All right, let's send it over to Marshall, who has our Defensive Player of the Week. Marshall?
Thanks again, Jake Tatum. As we spoke about earlier, defense looked really strong early on, largely in part due to this week's Defensive Player of the Week, linebacker Marquis Allison. The senior had a tackle for a loss as well as 7 overall tackles and was an overall leader on the field in Week 3. In a game where the Falcons let up 43 points, Allison was a positive takeaway for this UTPB team. And that's a wrap for our offensive and defensive players of the week, but don't go anywhere. Later in the show, I will break down our play of the week. Falcon Focus will be right back.
We're back with more Falcon Focus with Jake Dayton and Marshall Kramsky.
Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a player who's doing good work on and off the field, and this week is no different. We introduce you to left tackle Javon Johnson.
And this is Javon's first year as part of the Falcon football team. And if you spend just a few minutes with him, you'll ever wonder, how did you ever live without this guy before? I just love his energy. And for Javon, football is much more than just a game. You can't miss Javon Johnson. The 6'6" left tackle is like a freight train on the field.
You gotta make me look good on the foot.
And off the field, he's the type of person people gravitate to. Let me tell you something you don't know about Javon. Football and music saved his life.
Being from Chicago, it's like high violence, like especially in the area on the south side, there's a lot of violence going on. So football was one of those things. It was something to do that kept me occupied. Kept me out the street. So the sport growing up for me, it opened up a lot of doors, kept me out of trouble.
Playing away his worries, one note at a time.
For me, it's just like, it's a way of expression, you know? It's like a way of expression without necessarily using words. You know?
How do you feel when you're playing piano?
When I play piano, I feel like a weight is lifted. I can be angry or upset or going through something, and then when I play, all that goes away, you know? It just goes away. So when I play football, it's the same thing. Like, having a bad day, I get on the field, nothing else matters but football, you know what I mean? So it all goes away. It's like a load is lifted off of you.
The self-taught musician turned down Division I opportunities to play for the Falcons.
Had a conversation with Coach Carrigan, which pretty much he showed me the vision and the dream, and I seen the passion that he had, and I wanted to be a part of something great.
Johnson says every success he's had thus far has been earned.
So anything I wanted in life, I had to work hard for it. It's a blessing, you know, just to be able to be where I am now. Like, I don't take it for granted.
Hard hits and high notes, all played in perfect harmony.
That was awesome.
Isn't he so fun? And you know what? I don't think anybody enjoys being on camera more than Javon.
Really?
What else do you need? What else can I do for you? We're like, okay, well, come on.
Coach,
Let's
you like him having on your team?
Love him. He's great. He's high energy, and he brings a different type of juice to the locker room. He's good.
I love it. Oh. Tatum, send us out right here.
Let's send it over to Marshall one last time. He's got the play of the week. Marshall.
We've talked about him a bunch, and deservedly so. Our play of the week comes courtesy of Marquis Simmons. Take a quick look at the play here. Simmons got the Falcons on the scoreboard first on what seemed like an easy run, but it put the Falcons in a great position in the second quarter. And as much as Simmons deserves credit for his touchdown, a good run is nothing without good blocking. Let's take a look right here. So as you see, Simmons is going to get the ball, and let's wait right there. And if you take this, Pablo Gutierrez, it was all him. Watch this block right here. Boom, makes the pathway, and Simmons can break free. Easy touchdown for the running back. That's it for our Falcon offensive, defensive, and play of the week. We'll be right back after this on Falcon Focus.
We're back with more Falcon Focus with Jake Dayton and Marshall Kramsky.
The football program continues to grow its team and staff every week. We're introducing you to a new face you'll see along those Falcon sidelines.
This week I went on a 100-yard walk with Coach Jay Williams.
I'm here with Coach Jay Williams. We're walking the field. First question, what position do you coach?
I actually coach the safeties, defensive backs in the back on defense.
Okay, what brings you to UTPB?
Actually have an uncle on staff. He is the defensive back coach, Kyle Williams. Essentially, he brought me down here. I just graduated at the University of Arkansas, so started my coaching career down here in UTPB.
UTPB, that's right. Yeah, we got it. No, it's a mouthful.
Yes,
so,
it is.
tell me what your background is. You played college ball.
I actually did not. I just graduated from the University of Arkansas. I was in the recruiting department for 2 years with the previous staff there. Once that got all shuffled through, I got shuffled through as well. And yeah, I'm just down here now.
Nice. Well, welcome to West Texas. What's been your favorite part about this program so far?
Favorite part about this program is just seeing the guys compete every day and just knowing this is the beginning and it's a marathon, not a sprint. All right, and it just keeps on going, and just love the energy from the guys. Everyone's hungry, and they just on the grind every day.
Sure, y'all going into the season with a lot of momentum. What are some things that you're excited about that you're seeing from your players?
Again, guys are hungry. They've been working and grinding throughout fall camp, and just being able to play fast and being leaders to the new coming guys. It's exciting to see it just all unfold at once.
Sure. What do you like about this program so far?
That is headed in the right direction. We're right there, as Coach says. We just need to keep it going.
So when it comes to coaching, what's your philosophy? What's your approach to it?
Just making sure the guys play with a lot of energy, play with heart, passion, and just mentoring them off the field, because that's the most important thing, is how they live their lives beyond football. And yeah.
So what is it like, you're 1 year out of college, this is your first time being kind of in this type of leadership position. What has changed? Has anything changed for you?
Not taking classes. It's an everyday grind, especially through camp. It was, 7 o'clock to midnight basically, and just, it's a new grind, and I love it. I wouldn't change it for nothing. Classes.
I love it. Okay, so last question, and probably most important, if you were a superhero, which one would it be?
I'm partial to Iron Man. Love Iron Man.
Iron Man has no heart.
Well, we'll see in the next movie. We'll see.
I like it. Thanks, Coach Williams.
Thank you.
So something that I really like about Jay, and it's very unique to him, he hasn't played any college sports. So what does he bring to the team?
Well, for one, what he talked about, just the passion, the energy. At the University of Arkansas, he was in the recruiting department. And so for us as a staff, he brings that as well, and some of the work experience he had there in the SEC and how they did some recruiting. But he's been great as an addition with Coach Williams, Kyle Williams, and being high energy and great passion. And again, our kids, especially on the defense side of the ball, are playing it, and it reflects them.
Certainly.
Thanks, Coach. All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after this here on Falcon Focus. All right, thanks guys for coming back here on Falcon Focus. Coach, we're going to talk next week, taking on Tarleton State. What do you know about the team?
Very little at this point. I know they're explosive.
That's like every week. Every week.
It's Sunday afternoon. There's not a whole lot I know right now. The little bit that I have seen, because I've gotten to watch a little bit of them, especially their first game, because it was on a Thursday night. And we actually watched that game at my house, so I've seen that. I've seen 4 quarters of them.
Nice.
They're very explosive. I think very premature, but I think this is probably going to be a team competing for a conference championship this year.
Really?
So what do you think that your guys need to do to prepare for this matchup?
Well, I'm going to become
More
a broken record.
Yeah.
We got to be more consistent. And again, it just becomes attention to detail and being assignment perfect in what we do. Don't get caught up in who the opponent is. What's your job on a given play? That's most important. Once we start perfecting our role, then we can start worrying more about our opponents.
For you, do you think Taylor's going to be starting this next week? Can we safe to say that, or are you just going to keep it wide open like usual?
Safe to say he'll be starting this week.
All right. Thanks, Coach. All right, that does it for here on Falcon Focus.
See you next week.